What up, world? Welcome to episode 100 of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. Yes, and I did say episode 100, yes. And I am your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the frigid and cold confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, and as well as on Podbean and Trovo. This episode, guys, today, you already know, this is going to be dedicated to the bird game, Fly. Eagles versus Packers Wildcard game preview edition. As you guys know, the game will be on in about 3 hours. So I just wanted to kind of do a quick preview episode and go over some things that I watched. I watched them all 22 films from the first game. I've pretty much done detailed files on both these teams throughout the season. I've watched obviously watched Eagles games and then watched a shitload of Packers games throughout the year. So it's definitely a lot of intel I have that I like to bring to you. So hopping right into it. I'm a little heartbroken because I thought this was going to possibly be the NFC Championship game. But we're getting this matchup, first game of the playoffs right away. So you got to get your mental tested early. So it is what it is. But nonetheless, happy that, this stand that we dealt. Happy that we're here. Happy that we're going to be playing a great team. Because, the Packers are a very good team. Keep this in mind. They were third in the NFC North and they were 11-6. So it just lets you know how good their division is. They're 5-3 away from Lambeau. It's something I always keep in mind. But Packers have been a good team this year. Jordan Love's played great. 25 touchdowns, 11 picks on the season, 33 yards, almost 3,400 yards on this year. Josh Jacobs, free agent acquisition from the Raiders they picked up, has been a godsend. 1,329 yards, 15 touchdowns, been amazing for the Packers. Jaden Reed, their second-year player from last year out of Michigan State, has been a godsend. 55 receptions, 857 yards, 6 touchdowns. Again, they got guys, backups like Bo Melton, Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave. They got guys all over the place. Their pass catchers are interchangeable. I know that they don't have Jair Alexander today. I know they don't have Christian Watson, but specifically just for the offense, their receivers are interchangeable. It's more or less who's operating the system and how they're operating at that and what speed they're operating at. So again, even though those guys, Christian Watson's not playing, really doesn't really make much of a difference. Their offense really hasn't changed. They're still going to have Romeo Doubs out there. Still going to have Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love, even though he's playing through injury, just like all guys are playing through injury at this point. So very interested to see how that plays out. Speaking of injuries, obviously it was great to see Jalen Hurts back in practice this week. Was able to play, clear concussion protocol. Definitely was great to see. We all knew that he was pretty much going to be back, though. It was pretty much just the media creating some type of news or some bullshit just to keep things going, because what else the fuck did they have to talk about in reference to this game? There was no controversy. There was really no selling points. It was two good teams playing each other, and ultimately just need to wait to see if the quarterback's going to be healthy. So, interested to see, too, Jordan Love's been battling with an injury as well, elbow injury. Apparently he had his funny bone, said that he's all right, said he's okay. I do expect, though, Malik Willis probably did get some touches in this week, just, as a precautionary measure. We'll see. I'm pretty sure Tanner McKee did for the Eagles, so we'll see how everything plays out as far as health with both quarterbacks. But if you're Philadelphia, you definitely got to be prepared for both today, because there's a chance, if Jordan Love does get hit again, or if he does get hurt, you got to be prepared. So definitely expect the Eagles to have to be ready for both quarterbacks. Coming into this game, as mentioned, Green Bay's been battling some injuries. Philadelphia's relatively healthy going into this game, so that's definitely great to see. They needed rest, and they got it. They haven't had a bye week in about 12 weeks, so definitely needed this rest. I love this. So, and Sirianni and the guys are pretty good when it comes to this stuff, when it comes to the guys getting rest and making sure they're prepped for big games, and their history usually predicates this, so great thing to see. Some of the keys to the game, without being long-winded and getting to it. Watching the all-22 film, it was very revealing. The Packers really should have won that game. I think what happened, though, was, playing on a shitty turf, you missed some deep shots. You had a couple of shots in the end zone that didn't get missed. You didn't connect on, where Christian Watson was open on a few plays. You had Dontavian Wicks streaming across the middle of the field on a couple plays, didn't connect. There was a lot of opportunities that the Packers had to hit big play capabilities in that game, and they just didn't. So I don't really expect their philosophy much to change. I expect them to attack the middle of the field and to attack downfield, because that's really the key. If you're playing a Vic Fangio defense and you don't try to attack downfield, you're really playing into Vic Fangio's hands. So, again, I expect that definitely from Green Bay. Also, too, I think he who runs will dictate this game and controls the other team's offense because both teams have dominant, offensive lines, and both running backs have been outstanding this year. But make no mistake, whoever makes sure the other team's offense is not on the field as much, that's who's going to win the game. Because if you can dictate, if Green Bay can dictate Philly not being on the field, or Philly can dictate Green Bay not being on the field like that, that means you're running the ball at an effective clip and you're controlling the clock. So that's going to be very interesting to see. And the Packers have struggled a bit coming into this playoff game. They've not really played their best, which we know we can kind of, take that with a grain of salt. However, going into this game, they don't really count the loss of the Bears, but as a whole, haven't really played clean, efficient football, since the Lions game. So it's something definitely to keep an eye on. Maybe it was a division game, I don't know. But again, they've lost to all the good teams, the top echelon teams within the conference this year. So that's something also to note. But again, they've ended the season 8th in offense and 6th in defense. And they're also they're 5th in defense in yards, and 13th in passing yards. So this team is not anything to sneeze at. It's not going to be an easy game. The Eagles are going to have to play clean, efficient, and effective football to beat this team. You're not going to be able to have, like you had the game 1, where you're going to have a bunch of turnovers and hope that the defense can play on a short field and stop these guys from scoring. You got blessed in game 1. That won't be able to happen like that in game 2. Also, too, I think what is also going to be very interesting is looking at the film. The Packers run a lot of formations, a lot of laterals and reverses out of a lot of halfback eye or offset eye or sometimes pistol formations with their receivers coming out of motion. That's definitely something the Eagles are going to have to be prepared for. I'm pretty sure Vic Fangio and the guys had them prepped for that. Also, too, something if you're Philadelphia, something that you have to take into mind. How rusty will Jalen Hurts be? Jalen hasn't played since the Washington game. He had a severe concussion, as they say. Jalen expanded on the concussion this week, saying that, it's the first time he really dealt with something like that. Okay, so we're going to take it for his word that he had a concussion. That being said, how is he going to look coming out the first couple weeks out the gate? It's going to be very interesting to see. I think also, looking at it too, the first half of the first game of the season, he looked terrible in that first game. He didn't look like a guy that was ready or efficient. Looked like he was still trying to figure out his rhythm. But that being said, he's looked a lot better especially since the bye week. I think they kind of have to adopt what the Ravens did last night against Pittsburgh, where you're going to have to commit to running the ball. And I only say that a bit because your receivers are a little bit banged up. You got AJ dealing with a knee injury. You got Smitty dealing with a back. These guys are going to be out there, of course, so they're going to demand attention. They're going to make plays. But a lot of from the first game, you saw Goddard touching the ball. You saw Smitty touching the ball. I think, honestly, too, would have actually really helped benefit the passing offense. And it sounds probably a little insane, but get Jahan Dotson involved. Get him a couple touches early on. Not meaningless like, get him a catch and he's knocked back for 3 yards. I mean, get him a few touches in stride. Let him touch the ball. He showed a lot. The last couple of weeks, especially in that last game with the starters being out, he showed a lot. And I just think it helps the offense out tremendously if he's able to touch the ball outside of Goddard, Smith, and A.J. Brown, because it just causes the defense to have to worry about somebody else, especially with Saquon running out the backfield, especially in the passing game, too, which was another threat that Green Bay had to worry about in game 1, which I'm pretty sure that Sirianni and these guys will try to utilize in this game today. A.J. Brown definitely had a big game in game 1. He definitely should have another one today, especially with Jair Alexander not being there. Smitty as well. He was definitely killing Green Bay on a lot of shallow crosses and comeback routes and, what I call a tweener in the seam routes. He was definitely killing them with that. If he is utilized again in the slot like he was in the first game, he should have a big game. And Goddard being back is huge. I make no mistake. Dallas Goddard being back is huge. He was very integral in that first game. And he just creates space in the middle of the field. And he helps create other matchups for other guys. So I do expect Philly to win this game. However, I don't expect it to be a blowout. I expect it to be very tight. Both teams know that, and in my personal opinion, whoever wins this game is going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. You know, I know popular belief is either the Lions or the Vikings, but you know that's people's opinions. But I just really feel like these two teams have played some of the best football throughout the season, especially the Birds. And yeah, it's just going to come down to the Eagles playing sound football. You can't have a bunch of turnovers. You can't be playing a bunch of inconsistent. What are we doing on this drive? What are we doing on that drive? Let's try to be cute. None of that shit. You got like I said, you got to kind of do what the Ravens did last night with Pittsburgh. You got to be committed and you got to make a decision. Are we running the ball or are we throwing? In my personal opinion, I know the stats say possibly to throw the ball. I think honestly, the way this game is going, or the way that I think it will go, they're going to have a concerted effort to stop Saquon Barkley. Saquon killed him the last game. So I think what you got to do is definitely attempt to run the ball. Definitely see if they've made any changes. If they don't adjust properly, then continue as wash, rinse, repeat, run that ball. However, if they make serious adjustments, you see that they've made a concerted effort. That play action game is there. You have the skill position guys and the players. I think Jalen, like I said, we'll see how rusty he'll be, but this will be the test really to see how prepared they'll be going forward. Because hell, you lose this game, your season's over anyway. But if you win, sky's the limit. So that's going to do it for this preview episode of Eagles versus Packers. As always, guys, the game comes on at 4:30. Definitely check it out and enjoy. Like, share, subscribe. As always, take care and fly Eagles fly.